We are here, 111 episodes in, guys. Welcome to the Joyage Kingdom. I'm Cade, your guide. I'll be replacing the voice inside your head for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say first, thank you for listening or viewing on whatever platform you're on: TikTok, Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the places. If you haven't already, click that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. Join the kingdom. If you already follow me on Twitter, if you haven't joined the Joyage Kingdom subreddit down below, you're missing out on all the alpha fam. I don't know how many times I got to tell you that. Today we have a sick guest. Works for Starbucks and then product management. He's the founder of NFT Seattle, the conference that I went to that you guys saw the vlog at. Fucking awesome event. And he's the founder of Satoshi's Index. We're going to talk about a lot of things, more focused on, which is my favorite thing, the business side of Web3. That's the side I've always been interested in. The DGen stuff is fun. That's cool and stuff like that. But there's other things that are going that, in my opinion, are way cooler. So, dude, thanks for coming on. And I'm really excited to get into it.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm stoked.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Well, I want to first start with NFT Seattle because that's somewhat still fresh, and that was the last time I saw you in person. I talked to Mark before. I don't know if you saw that podcast. Me and Mark sat down at his place in Bellevue, and we did a little pod. But that was pre-conference. So like it was so funny because I rewatched a little bit of it after the conference, and like some of the things he was like worried about, and he was just like, oh man, like as soon as it's done, then once we have it under our belt, then this or that. Like how was your mindset going into it? Was it super stressful? Was it the hardest thing you've ever done? Like what was it like?
Everything, exactly that. It was the hardest. It's literally the hardest thing I've ever done, and I've done a lot of hard things, and it was a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. Which I mean, I knew coming in it would be hard, but I didn't realize how mentally and emotionally taxing it would be. So yeah, it was a lot, man.
What was it? Was it like the planning, the management? Like what was the part that you were in charge of mostly?
So primarily, I would say the finances. So like funding this and just like kind of bringing in sponsors. We kind of like tag teamed speaker outreach. So did a lot of that. And just like the logistics and just the planning, like Mark and I just kind of like divvied up everything that needed to be done. Because, when you're a startup, anything, it's it's always all hands on deck. So
what was that process? Tests. Like when you're like, okay, I got to find sponsors. Like how the fuck do you pitch that? Especially to companies where it's like, sometimes it's hard to explain why maybe it's a good idea to invest in the Web3 stuff at this point in the market and this point in development for NFT and blockchain technology. Like, how do you pitch that idea, or is it through connections and stuff?
I wish it was through connections because then we probably would have gotten more money. A lot of it was, it's sales, right? It's a lot of cold outreach on LinkedIn and through people and like all kinds of stuff. And it's what it boils down to is casting the vision, right? What are we trying to do here? And why is it important? And, it was a process, really, because neither of us had done this. And it's me specifically, because I did a lot of pitching to like potential sponsors. And it basically came down to figuring out what's important to them, like figuring out what their business use cases are and like why having a booth at NFT Seattle would be valuable, or why getting in front of this new audience would be valuable. And something we hadn't really planned on, but we quickly realized we had to do as well, was we had to sell Seattle because, that was a thing, because all the crypto stuff is like in Miami and there's New York and a little bit in LA and obviously Denver. And so Seattle's like, no one really had Seattle on their map. So whenever we talk to companies or even potential speakers, people would be like, Seattle, like what's in Seattle? Who's in Seattle? And it was more prevalent with speakers. Like it was so hard to convince people to come to Seattle because they are so used to going to like the other coasts, the other parts of the country. So yeah, really just casting the vision about why Seattle, why they should take a chance on this year one event, and why it would be valuable for their business to get this visibility.
Dude, yeah, like what? So sales and like that kind of thing is like fascinating to me now, especially after finally diving in and accepting my role as someone who does business. I've been running a company for like a year and just like convinced myself I'm just a YouTuber. And then I was like, you know what? Like I actually do some of this business stuff. And like now it's so fascinating to me. Like when you led into those pitches, would you go in and talk about the blockchain stuff first, or did you lead with like Seattle, like a big emerging industry event, and like what was like that selling point that like got most of them to say yes versus no, you think?
It's more of the latter, where you kind of like lean in with the vision of Web3, right? Hey,
Mhm.
I love always quoting this. Do you know McKinsey? McKinsey is this like management consulting company, and they're like the company that all the big corporations go to, like when they want advice on where the world is going and technology trends and stuff. So they published this 77-page report about the metaverse, what it is,
Mm.
and like one of the things they, I mean, honestly, you should read it if you're in the space. Everyone should read that report. But one of the things they talk about in there is by year 2030, the metaverse will be generating $5 trillion of economic impact. 5 trillion with a T. So that's a lot of money, and that's just like 7 years away. In comparison, that's like way more than like cloud, like AI or any of these other big technological inflection points. So when I was coming into some of these conversations with maybe the non-Web3 companies, it was first of all pitching Web3, right? Hey, this is why this space is important. This is why you should care. Second, it was pitching Seattle, right? Hey, this is why, Seattle's got like the most developed, like some of the most dev talent in the country. Seattle is like the gateway to Asia, so there's a lot of like investment that's coming in from like Asia because we're so close.
Mhm.
Um, and also just like we're the birthplace of technological innovation for a lot of things. Amazon, Microsoft, Tableau, Expedia, and just like a host of other companies, all of whom are like slowly coming into Web3, including like Starbucks, obviously. So
Yeah.
it was just this process of really selling them on the vision, on why Web3 is important and why events are the best bang for buck opportunities for brands to get in front of people.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the
Yeah.
thing that people it's almost hard to explain unless you've been and have experience with it, but like when you go to the event, um I don't know what it is. Like I remember in high school, dude. Do you remember things like young? Do you ever have anything like Young Life? It's like a church
Yeah.
thing, right? And like I remember going,
Yeah.
and I would go to some of the events because like my friends would all go. I wasn't like particularly religious, but I would just go because it was fun. It's really casual, but they would always throw this like camp it was like for a week in the summer, and like everyone would go, and like everyone had a great time. But the thing I thought was funny is like everyone would come back and be like, "Oh my God, like I'm a new follower of Jesus," and I was always like, like what did they brainwash these kids with? And like I just could judge them every year, and then finally my senior year, I was like, you know what? Let me just try it out. Let me just see what all this shit is about. So I went there, had the best time of my life. And like the week, like the day I get back, I'm like, oh my God, Jesus. And it was just, I was like, holy shit. Like it's about like the energy that you take from there. And like, like, I don't even know what it does. Like when you go to that event, you feel refreshed. Typically you meet some people. Like I met some really, really cool cats when I was there. And people I did not expect to see there. Like I ran into Fudrick, had a conversation with him for 30 minutes. The guy who bought that 400 ETH Pudgy Penguin. And he's like a
Oh,
celebrity in their little ecosystem. And I was talking for like 20 minutes, didn't realize who he was. And then like after the conversation over, found out who he was. And I was like, wow, that was random. Like I've definitely interacted with him on Twitter before. And it's just such a funny thing. And you guys got Tom Billiard to come, dude. What was the,
yeah.
I mean, I know his family is from Washington. Was that like I guess that was really important to him.
Yeah, that was a whole journey, and that was a miracle, to be honest. So how that happened? So I've been a big part of Tom's community for many years, and
Mhm.
I bought a bunch of his NFTs when they dropped like a year ago,
Me too.
and the top like the oh you're in the yeah you're founder's token holder, the legendary key, right? Like you get weekly calls with Tom. So I started in like in like maybe like actually March or April. In our legendary calls, I would slowly start to drop like little like hints. Like I would raise my hand and go up on stage. And the first time I was like just asking him, so hypothetically speaking, what does it take to get a person like Tom Bilyeu to speak at a conference, right? And because I was more just trying to understand like what we were up
Right.
against. And then like I had a notepad and he's like listing out his criteria. He's like, yeah, it has to be a big event. I don't like doing keynotes. I'd rather do a fireside chat because it's like less stressful and forgot what he said a bunch of things. And I'm like, okay, now we have a criteria. He
That's
didn't say
exactly
anything
it.
about money.
Let's go.
I didn't say anything about NFT Seattle. And then I think like a month and a half or 2 months later, I'm always just joining these calls. I'm like asking questions, just like building rapport. And I met him like a couple of years ago as well at an event he did in Phoenix.
Nice.
So I'm just trying to like make sure I'm on his radar. And then that second time on that Discord call, I was like, all right, I'm going to kind of make the ask. I was like, all right, here's what's going on. I'm just going to be blunt. We're putting on NFT Seattle. It's on such and such date. We would love to have you on as a speaker. Like, what does that look like? Who do you need to reach out to? And like, he gave me some kind of high level surfacey answer, like, I'll reach out to the team, a normal answer someone like Tom would give. And I'm like, okay, cool. Sat on that, tried to do some outreach, didn't really go anywhere. And I don't know if Mark had mentioned this, but when we started this journey, even before we even figured out who we wanted as speakers, the two people who we wanted were Gary Vee and Tom Bilyeu. Those were like, all right, if we get one or two of these, like, we're game over.
Hell
so yeah. I mean, the reality of them coming to speak was like pretty slim, especially because Tom had already said he only does large, like really, really large events. Like, he speaks to like tens of thousands of people and whatever. So anyway, then Q NFT NYC, I was randomly walking through the halls, like working the room, talking to sponsors and stuff. And I literally walk past him, and he's got like his like camera guy just following him. And I'm like, wait, Tom? What? So that's when I say it was a miracle. Like, what were the odds that at this 15,000 person event with like multiple floors, I would end up walking past the guy that I've been trying to get on as a speaker? Yeah. And I stopped him, and we chopped it up for like 15, 20 minutes. And like, his team was filming it and everything. And that's when I really made the ask. And I'm like, yo, we need you at NFT Seattle, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, how many people? I'm like, I don't know, blah, 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 I'll see. And then he gave me his right-hand man's email. Like, all right, send all the information to Sterling. I'm like, all right, bet. Immediately did that. And it took a while. It took like a few months before we finally heard back, because like Sterling had COVID, was out of commission for a while, and we're like, this is never gonna happen. Yeah. So when I eventually got that email back, I'm like, whoa, this is it. And then from there, it just kind of evolved and got locked in. So that's how it happened.
Bro, that's crazy. That is such a crazy story, because that's like I feel like that's how it is though. Like, every time I hear some crazy like that, they're like, man, like this thing happened, and this random event happened, and this person talked to this person, and I'm like, wow, the amount of dominoes I have to like hit the exact way is crazy. Like, how it kind of happens. Was there a backup plan if he didn't say yes?
Like, backup plan for a keynote speaker?
For like a keynote, or like some kind of like big figurehead flagship to kind of sell the event as well. Because I'm sure having Tom Bilyeu was a big help.
Oh yeah, I mean, so we had we brought in another company that we like had paid like early on to help us get access to like the tier A speakers. Yeah. And so those folks were constantly doing outreach, and they're the ones that kept hearing, Seattle, why Seattle? Because like, and the other thing too is all these folks, like, not the top, I mean, obviously there's the Tom Bilyeu's, the Gary V's, then there's like different categories below that. All these other people want to get paid a lot of money. Sure. So Gary V quoted us $250K, which is pretty wild.
Jesus Christ.
And it's like, even like random people were like wanting like the 40 grand, like people that are like speaking at all the conferences, and I won't name names, but it's like, I'm like, really? You want $40,000 to come?
And people are paying that?
Like, who the hell is paying that?
That's wild.
So we were kind of working through that process of figuring out like who really would draw people in, because with these conferences, if you've been to some of them, it's like a balance between getting some like brand name celebrity or whatever that like can attract the non-Web3 people, and obviously bringing in native Web3 speakers, people that can actually deliver a ton of value. So we obviously were very intentional about our programming, and we didn't want to fluff things up with people that like, were just there. Like, we don't want to just like bring Mark Cuban just because he's a billionaire and he's going to like bring people in. But, some people, some events will do that. I'm not calling anyone out. But for us, that wasn't our strategy. We wanted to actually deliver value and educate people. So backup plan wise, we had a bunch of different like avenues we were pursuing, but we were just fortunate that the Tom thing worked out.
Dude, so great. And I'm very happy you did. One of my goals is to get the legendary key as well. I'll get that at some point. And you led that panel talk, the fireside chat with him, right? That was really cool to watch you do that. And it was also cool to see Mark, because I knew Mark had also looked up to him for a long time. So to see him like greet him on stage, to try to get some video footage and like some photos and stuff. Very, very cool watching that whole thing play out as just like someone's taking it in, right? And then I even got my chance to get the mic. I got it first.
Yeah.
And do you remember? Like I literally like was so nervous because I didn't think I was gonna get chosen first, so I wasn't really prepared. And then when Tom, both you motherfuckers leaned forward and stared directly in my soul. And I was like, fuck, what was I gonna say? And I was like, blah, blah, blah. I just like blurted whatever. Like I can't remember what I said, but I was so, dude, my adrenaline was like pumping. Tell me what that was like sitting up there with him, as someone who looks up to him and has watched a lot of his content as well.
First of all, I want to say shout out to you for asking that question, man, because that's dope. Because it's funny because we actually talked. Me and Tom had actually talked about it backstage. Like, yeah, every time I do one of these, like, there's always someone that's like that just like connects at a heart level and shares something deep, right? So,
Yeah,
because we were talking about like, oh, we're gonna like allocate this amount for Q&A and do this and do that. It's like you just want to like give the people enough time to talk. So I was stoked when you asked that question because that was real. I remember what you asked or what
yeah,
you shared. Sorry. And I'm like, yo, dude, because I didn't know that. I didn't know you had that connection or that Tom was that part of your story.
yeah,
So
man.
being able to kind of be a part of that experience and seeing him experience that,
Yeah,
it's just so beautiful, man.
it
Because
was.
I'm like you, where he's had such a tremendous impact on my life. So I'm just like happy to be here. But then to also like connect with my brother Cade down here and learn that he's had a similar experience, a life altering experience through Tom is
Yeah.
just dope. But I mean, it was awesome, man. He's just such an incredible human being, and I mean, like you're in his community. The type of person he is, the wisdom he brings, and just the insight he has is literally life changing. So it was just awesome to be there with him.
Yeah, I mean that was really, really cool. Yeah, I was fucked up for a while. Like I don't know how much you know about my story, but I was living in a car about probably a year and a half ago now at this point, living in a car traveling, but I was like basically broke. I had no direction. The goal of the trip was to go and like find myself, wherever that means. But because of that, there's no
Mm.
map. I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing. I was barely making any money. And I was just like, fuck me, like this sucks so bad. I don't have anything to move toward. And like Tom Billy's Impact Theory podcast pops up one day. It's the one with Lisa, his wife, and they just sort of like
Mm-hmm.
talked about stuff. They kind of had like a venting session and explaining things about their relationship. And I remember just like hearing the way she spoke about things. I had watched Tom's content before, but not like that. And then hearing them like just explain topics that were really tough conversations and hearing how they thought about things. And I remember at the end of that conversation, I felt like I had gone through a whole thing with both of them in the conversation. I was like, wow, that was really awesome. And then another podcast pops up by him, and I was like, okay, let me check this one out. Watched it, felt the same thing, and I was like, holy shit, I feel like I just did something with Tom in this podcast. Like I feel like I experienced something with him like in the same way he did, and I just got hooked. And I started watching all the podcasts, and it like got the gears running for me again, and I was like able to look forward to something, and I didn't always just dread every moment of my day. At least I had a couple podcasts to listen to later. And bro, he literally pulled me out of a funk and like got me off my ass. I would watch his like the mindset, like adopting the mindset and getting your shit going. And dude, him and Gary Vee both have been completely instrumental. I would not have done any of the things without them. So yeah, shout out for you guys for bringing them. I want to say thank you for bringing them for bringing Tom, because that was a legendary moment.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, man. That's so dope that you've been on that journey with them.
Hell
That's
yeah, man.
awesome.
Hell yeah. Well, anyways, I want to shift a little bit away from NFT Seattle, because we covered that. It was so cool. For anyone who hasn't been to NFT Seattle, if you guys do it again next year, I highly recommend it. They put on a great event. I had a lot of fun. Met a lot of cool cats there. Not cool cat NFTs, so cool people. And so yeah, it was really, really cool. And also, so we had, I think the very first time we had met was at NFT Seattle Social Club, which I've only been to like once or twice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get like anxiety going to those things. I don't know what it was. I couldn't miss the conference, but like NFT Social Club, sometimes I miss out. But we'd spoken there, and I didn't know too much about it. But you're the founder of Satoshi's Index as well, and you work a little bit with Starbucks. But I wanted to talk about Satoshi's Index and like what was kind of the idea there. What was it like when you first dropped it? And I don't know, just like kind of your experience running that, because not a lot of people own businesses / operate in a business sense in the Web3 space successfully.
Yeah. So funny because that's tied to Tom as well. One of the biggest things I did after joining the Impact Theory Discord or program or sorry project, I learned how Tom put together an NFT project and how he built the community and how he offered utility to his holders. And because I wanted to replicate that. So that's actually how Satoshi's Index was born. I was looking at ways of using NFTs to deliver immediate real world value. Nothing like fuzzy and like no like long-term roadmap of like a game that was going to get built like 10 years from now.
The games.
I was like, right, all the games, all the play to earns that will never see the light of day.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like, how can we actually use this non-fungible token to deliver immediate value? So part of my background has been in day trading. Actually, I started day trading in 2017. Yeah,
Okay.
and like doing it like full time, doing it professionally.
Wow.
So I started doing that in Forex, and then I added crypto in 2017. I was doing a lot of Ethereum trading.
Wow.
So, and then fast forward, because my other hat is I've been a software engineer, so I went to school for and stuff. So I decided to bridge the two worlds and started creating algorithms that trade.
Damn.
So I have algorithms that trade Forex, I have algorithms that trade crypto. So when I was thinking of what can I draw upon in my own experience that I can put in an NFT and offer to people, because that was my way of learning. I like to learn by doing. So that's when I went all in on this process of building out this NFT project. And it wasn't just an NFT collect. It's got cool art, these cool 3D avatars, but really the utility is the platform that we developed. And the platform, we call it a token gated SaaS platform that automates crypto investing for just anyone that invests in crypto. So yeah, my co-founder Kevin and I, we were talking to a bunch of our community, and people were looking for like an index fund for crypto, but there weren't really index funds. Like the few that are out there are expensive or like closed off. So we wanted to create an algorithm that would simulate how an index fund works without like the expensive fees and without having to actually give up your capital and your crypto. So yeah, that's how Satoshi's Index was born.
Dude, that's so cool. And do you mind if I pull up the Satoshi's Index NFT collection?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So this is cool for me because it brings a couple things that are, all right, here we go. Oh, shoot. Oh, fuck me. That is the wrong. What even is that? Hold on. Wrong thing. Maybe I thought that's what it was. Here we go. One sec. There we go. Okay. Share screen. Where the hell is it? Oh, okay. All right, here it is. So Satoshi's Index, 260 of them, 0.2 floor. Love this art, by the way, but also what's cool is so there's just a couple hundred NFTs in there, right? A lot of people make that mistake of they just have so many NFTs in there. And with the volume being around 1 ETH, it shows that like most people here are just like holding it because it's like a membership, right? Like that, everything. The reason people got in is so that they could have it and hold it. That's the exact same thing with my NFT collections, right? It's like there's not a ton of volume, and so people might look at that and be like, "Oh, there's no attention, there's no interest in it." It's like no, they don't want to get rid of it. That's why there's no volume, because like nobody sold it. Like 90% of the people who bought my art NFTs have been holding it since the first day that they bought, because they believe in that vision. And then for yourself, you're delivering actual like in real life, in real time value, where they lose out more if they sell it. So very, very cool. How have you also, like, have you built a community around them? Do you talk to these people in Discord about other things as well? Or is it strictly like you get access to this, that's it?
Yeah, so when we started, we went down the rabbit hole, we built out the Discord, and even though it's like it's a software, it's actually a license, like the NFT itself, like we have a system that checks your MetaMask to make sure you have the NFT, and it lets you in. And when you sell your NFT, it actually revokes your access to the platform. So the NFT like is actually serving another purpose. But beyond that, like we had to do the whole like building in Discord and doing the Twitters and doing all the spaces to just kind of generate a little bit of hype so people were aware of it. Sure. But as far as the Discord, man, Discord, as you probably know, is a rabbit hole. And it's a whole self-sustaining organism that needs a lot of attention in the beginning. And so what we started off with, we thought, let's have this be a place where we can bring together like-minded people that are interested in, financial freedom, people that are interested in crypto investing, people that want to get into NFT. So we actually onboarded a lot of like new people into Web3 that had never minted an NFT, probably had never bought crypto. But we wanted to like become like this kind of educational like place where your first NFT is actually something that's going to help you and you can use, rather than just kind of gambling on some like dick butt, that you have no idea where it's going to go. So So that's how the Discord started. And then eventually, just to be completely frank, we realized how much effort and resources it takes to like sustain a community, right? Because you're hiring full time, like you have to have a full time community manager, and you have to have a bunch of like moderators that are like engaged enough and like dependable enough to always
Hmm.
be helping like curate stuff in the Discord. So what we ended up doing was transitioning to like a Discord server that's more of like a support,
Got it.
meaning if people, it's like a support Discord. So if people want help or want to just talk to other people that are using the platform, we're still there. We're in there. If people want
Yeah.
to ask questions or just shoot the shit on whatever, but we're just not actively like doing all the things. We're not throwing games and quizzes and doing crazy treasure hunts and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff to keep people engaged, because that shit takes a lot of time, to be
Well,
honest.
plus it's not for
And we
your
wanted,
thing. It's not necessary. Like you don't need that extra thing. Like this benefit is enough. Like the platform that they get access to.
and like maybe in the future, like we're definitely open to like expanding and adding different types of utility once like these different metaverse worlds like develop. We've talked about it with the different projects about having like a storefront in like Decentraland or Sandbox or something where Satoshi is actually like offering some kind of like services,
Hmm.
and if you're a holder you can, you know, take apart or benefit from some of those services. So I feel like as we continue to evolve, because we've also been like evolving the platform itself, our investment platform. So we just did an overhaul of the UI, poured a
Nice.
lot of capital into just like making it super cool, and we're going to keep adding features to it to make the algorithm like smarter.
Mhm.
So that's our priority, because we really want to help people like invest better, like just invest well in crypto, because our
Yeah.
mission is democratizing successful crypto investing for like regular people. So if we can like nail that, all the other cool NFT stuff, I feel like we can kind of like sprinkle on top over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the journey with our community.
That's awesome, dude. And like for you with the role, like I know you did the software engineering, and you did a lot of the back end stuff. Do you have any interest in like being the brand ambassador for the company? Like I know there's a YouTuber out there called tradeconfident.io, and he runs a similar thing where he does like a sort of like a day trading sort of thing. It's not, there's no automated. Well, I guess there is some automated tools he created as well. But the way he brings in new people is he makes YouTube videos where he makes like a 5-minute breakdown of some of the trades from like the day before. And if you want to get like the in real lifetime trades, you have to sign up for like the subscription kind of thing. But like he basically gets all his marketing done organically from like posting videos. Like myself, all my clients come in from all my inbound requests come in from YouTube videos or videos that they saw on TikTok or something, and like they all come from that. Have you
Mm.
do you do any of that stuff? Is that something you've thought about?
Oh man, yeah. So you know, because you're a content creator, man, this is a job. Like it's a
Yeah.
whole job. I started a YouTube channel like probably a few years ago because I was making content for my trading, because I was sharing market analysis
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. But because I had to learn Premiere Pro, I had to, you know, come up with like just what to say, like what I wanted to talk about, like all that. So creating content is hard. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe for other people it's easy, but it is like if you want to make good content, right? Because once you start making the videos, then you realize, oh man, there's like a difference between the videos that actually get noticed and the videos that just like stay stagnant, right?
Yeah.
It's how you edit and how you make them like captivating and
Well, it can be, but there,
understanding the
I mean, like
algorithm.
the Trey Confident guy, he just pulls up OBS and he just screen records his screen, puts himself in the corner. Well, he doesn't even put himself in the corner. Like some people just put themselves in the corner and they just like talk and they just like title it some clickbaity thing about a coin or whatever. And then people jump in after a few minutes. They're like, oh, this is a legit trader. He's also got his own platform. He just delivered me value. Like, this might be something good. Like, especially even if you're getting like 100 100 views per video, if even 5% of those people convert into like buyers of your NFT, like that's lit. That's like plenty, that's always been my thought process is like the content creation is just such good organic marketing, but you are right. It's a whole entire thing on its own as well. And so it's just like, yeah, that one's tough. Like, I feel like maybe that's something that, I don't know. That one's tough.
I mean, I want to do it. Like, I do want to do it. I go back and forth. I mean, obviously, my good friend Mark, he runs a digital, marketing
It's true.
agency. So they're like the content people. So
Yeah.
he's always telling me, man, you need to start making content. And I'm like, man, I do. Like, I really do. But I just got to figure out how to prioritize, how to make time
True.
for it. So I'm gonna take this as a sign that I really need to like get my shit together. And but yeah, like maybe even like one a week or something like that. I
Yeah,
do
dude.
think I wanna. I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
Or sit down for an hour, get 12 videos done. Like basically sit and riff for an hour about all the things. And then when you go back and edit, you don't have to edit anything. Just chop it at each like intersection of different topic. Now you've got 10 videos to post over the next 2 weeks. You know, you can just break it up and just like 1 hour of editing, 1 hour of filming, and you're done. Like that would be my bit of advice there, just because it cuts your time in half. Like I do a bunch of podcast clips and stuff, and I basically have 100 drafts in my drafts folder all the time because I just have so many clips from the podcast. It's a hack, dude. It's a total hack.
And how do you the other thing I always struggle with is for content is the consistency piece. So like how do you manage to stay on top of like just always churning out content consistently?
I just know that the more content out there, the more clients. Like the more business comes from more videos, and it's a fact. It's a fact. And it's been working for 14 months. Gary Vee has been preaching it, like especially in the beginning, like volume is the answer until you've got your core audience. For me, like I've got a little bit of a core audience, but also like the videos just bring in more business, and it's like it adds to your resume, right? Like there's some things that help if it's just like in your Twitter bio or something, but then if you just have like fucking thousands of videos floating out there in the ether. And like, you know, on my TikTok, I'll bet people like liking or commenting on a video that I posted like 14 months ago, literally. And I'll be like, wow, like, man, like every video kind of matters. And like, because of that, I've kind of just made that a top priority. Cause I'm like, without the incoming requests and like business opportunities and stuff, then like you're kind of spinning your wheels as far as making content with no funnel in mind. But also you said you're a day trader. Do you know Leanne and Cruiser here? They live here. They're both day traders and also content creators who live in Seattle. And they're like big time, like, they're big on Instagram mainly, but like they do day trading and like crypto and NFT stuff.
Ping me their maybe send me their names. No, I need to start connecting with more people.
Dude, there's like a variety of people who are here in Seattle that I've connected with, like to the creative director at Vayner. She's here. I met her at NFT Seattle.
Oh yeah. Jessica, she's dope.
Yeah. Dude, literally ran into her on I don't even know where I ran into her, just like ran into her talking to her, didn't realize who she was until after we connected. Just like the crazy people you meet, but then the founder of On-Chain Monkey, I think you maybe talked to him too.
Oh, yeah.
He's somewhere over here as well. We've Chad, we've Mark, we've you. Like we've got a squad of like cool people here. I'm like, we could Thursday or something cool. Like I don't know what that would look like. But yeah, I'll connect you guys. They're really cool. They're actually gonna be, if you're gonna be here tomorrow, I know Mark is coming. The NFT Museum has an event at 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
I'll be there. If and she'll also be there, and Cruz will be there, Mark will be there. So try and make it. That'd be cool to meet up.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make that for sure.
Hell yeah.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Hell yeah, let's go. Okay, so Satoshi's next. That's a really cool entire topic. I love that whole thing. And then also, so this we're not gonna go too deep into. But the Starbucks Odyssey NFT, they dropped it. They took a different approach from like something like Walmart, where Walmart's trying to like take over the metaverse or something. And like, I don't know. I feel like some of the companies almost extended too far into the future with these like too grand ideas. And I'm like, I feel like they skipped levels, 2 through 7 and just jumped to level 8. And I'm like, I don't know if that was the right timing. But Starbucks did a different thing. They pretty much rolled with what all the YouTuber people were kind of talking about, which potentially could be the next step, which is just membership stuff and just switching over things to the blockchain style. I guess like, what is your opinion on companies coming forward? Do you think more companies that have a rewards program like Starbucks are going to adopt this, or you think we're a long ways away and Starbucks will kind of be the only one?
Oh no, dude. I think there's so many companies, there's so many corporations that are watching Starbucks. So it's funny because I was talking to the Starbucks team that's like actually doing all the things. And as you could imagine, when you're a big global multinational, there's a lot of risk with kind of getting into this space that is very frothy and volatile, and it's kind of the wild, wild west. So they're being super careful, as they should be.
Yeah.
But I think once that first announcement went out, and then like the Polygon announcement went out, we were as a company just really scouring the interwebs to hear what people are saying. And I mean, there's been an overwhelmingly positive response, right? But beyond that, corporations, other influencers, just regular people, everyone's trying to see what's going to happen with this Starbucks launch, because it's kind of going to create a blueprint that other corporations can follow. So I've been talking to a few other like executives at different companies that are trying to figure this out, and you'd be surprised. There's a lot, even the big tech companies, they haven't fully fleshed out Web3 strategies yet. So I'm talking to them, and they're like, well, Starbucks, blah, blah, blah. So like, all that to say, I think we'll see more, because everyone's trying to see what does this look like to to do a drop multiple times, or to leverage NFTs and Web3 technologies multiple times, because anyone can do just a single drop.
Sure.
Anyone can do, like Adidas, I don't know, it was like what, 30,000 NFTs and made whatever millions.
Yeah.
And you know, Anheuser and like all these big companies that have just like done a drop and made some money. And you know, if you look at who's done like something long term, like that's been sustainable, like something long term beyond just one drop, there's not a lot. Like maybe the closest is Artifact.
Yeah.
So Nike,
I would say
by
so.
way of Artifact, maybe, but no one else. So I get excited because I think once the Odyssey journeys start to roll out and people see what this looks like and really how the community responds, right? That's really going to like set the stage for what other companies that have rewards programs do. Because I was talking to one of the guys who's kind of running stuff at T-Mobile, and they're thinking through, like, we have over 100 million active subscribers, right? And they got this thing that they do, like, you know, T-Mobile Tuesdays. It's got the same idea where you already have an existing community.
Yeah.
You should find a way of tapping into that community. You don't need to go to the Web3 degens, whatever the number, have 500,000 Ethereum wallets, or that's very, very small pool of people. When you already have this ginormous pool to pull from, people that already drank your Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
we're gonna
100%.
see a lot more of this.
Yeah, dude, 100%. And I don't know if you saw, I posted a video right when Starbucks thing happened, and I saw all the responses, and I ended up just taking like a humorous take on some of it and pulled up some of the responses from like DGens on Web3, like DGen Twitter, and seeing what they had to say. And I thought that video was hilarious. I had a sick, that was like one of my favorite thumbnails they did, I remember. And I remember when that dropped, because I was like, I knew that some people would hate the idea just because they don't like the word NFT. So we saw a lot of people saying like, never drinking Starbucks again because of this. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, bro, chill.
I know.
Like that actually, no, hold on. There's a clip I made, and I think it's like a memeable clip that I made. And it's from that episode, because I was like, in the video, I was like, bro, just chill, dude, just chill. Because I just could not like fathom why they were so goddamn angry, dude. They were so mad. And then like for the overwhelming majority of people, they're like, cool, nice. This is interesting. Like, I can't wait to see the kind of what happens here. But it was interesting to see normal people leave their opinion on a massive company that has touched the hearts of everyone, because people have the brand of Starbucks, but then also like they just have good coffee, and like just the brand in general. To see them make a move like that was just really interesting for me as a content creator to watch the different reactions from it. And I don't know how many companies are gonna model it. And like a company that doesn't have a rewards program, I wonder how they're gonna attack the NFT space as far as drops, because like you said, I'm honestly not a big fan of marketing up to lead to this one big day where you do a mint drop. I think it's unnecessary and just silly. I just think it's a waste of money and time and resources, and an unnecessary risk to take. It's just no reason to do it like that right now. So like when I've had some of my consultations with companies who are like from the Web2 world or whatever, and they want to jump into the Web3 space, they're like, hey, we need to know about these things. Like, how do we do this? How do we do that? I've never really been a big fan of it. Like my NFT art collections dropped as Genesis collections that I left on OpenSea, and I just let them sit there, and like whoever found them. And I kind of let it like happen like that. And I almost like that style, or something along that style, more than leading up to a big mint day. Because like ultimately it always leads nowhere. Like if you think about Ledger or some company that did it right, and they even had a successful day or successful, then it's like, okay, like after the big day, then it's like nothing. And I was like, there's no point in doing all that. You kind of like got everyone's hopes up, and then nothing really happened. And now they're like locked into this NFT. I'm like, why would you do that? It's like a salty taste in their mouth almost immediately after, except for everybody who flipped it and made a bunch of money, and it's now no longer in your fucking ecosystem. So
yeah, man. And I think we just like, I mean, it's a part of the process, right? We started in this very nascent, frothy market, NFTs. Everybody was making money, and we created this like very false impression that you have to sell out on day one. You have to sell out in minutes, or else you failed, or you have to sell out in a few hours. And that was a very toxic thing that we as like a community allowed to be a thing, or just to persist. So I think now we're like slowly working our way back from that. And I like to think as we come out of this bear market, we'll see less of that, honestly. Like, because the builders have been building, the people that actually are in here for the long term, whether it's like individuals, influencers, companies, they realize that it's not just about like the drop and make a bunch of money and whatever. So I hope what you just described, that I hope that stays in the past.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's just a waste of resources, and you leave a sour taste in people's mouths. And
Yeah.
now what?
That's just been my thought process toward it. I am really excited. Like, when I think about something like the metaverse, I like to talk about it because something that really works for me is visualization, and visualizing a goal. Like I said with Tom, really helped a lot with that earlier. Just like having some kind of thing to look forward to. And like the reason that, or one of the things that makes content interesting to me and fun for me to make, even if I'm not particularly stoked to make that specific video, is like, I want to ultimately be some type of, figure to be reckoned with or whatever in Web3, like whatever that means. I want to be someone who matters. I want, like, my show, the Joyage Kingdom podcast show, I want to be the Joe Rogan experience of the Web3 world. And for like when a company or a project is dropping something, I want them to be like, okay, like which shows are we going on? Like I need to be in that conversation. And so because of that, I make lots of videos, and I just know that the next natural step for human technology and evolution is just more of like what we already have, which is just building on the technology we have. And it makes no sense to me that we're not going to more digital world, because everything is pointing there. All the biggest, most richest, famous entrepreneurs and business and companies are all in the same boat, doing the same, trying to push the same narrative, and they're all working towards it. So I'm like, okay, like chances are they're probably going to do it, or we're at least going to go in that direction. And maybe we don't hit Ready Player One, but I don't see a world where we're not more digital than today. And there's not a whole lot of places we could go other than more just immersive technologies, immersive experiences. So I get excited about the metaverse, and I could see a Ready Player One. Like, in fact, I hope, and I would be surprised in, I don't know how many years, if we don't have something like that. It, like, that for some reason makes sense to me. I've seen Black Mirror episodes, and I'm like, it just doesn't feel far off at all.
Yeah.
And like, I know a lot of people get upset about that. Tell me your thoughts on the metaverse.
Oh man, I love this, because this is like my favorite thing to talk about right now, because a lot of people's favorite thing, right? Because what is the metaverse? What is it going to look like? So I've been going down the rabbit hole of AR, and really understanding how that comes into play. Because a lot of people, when they think metaverse, they don't really, some people don't think that AR is a part of the metaverse. But when you think through all the work that like Zuckerberg and Meta are doing, with the Oculus, I discovered this other company a couple weeks ago called Nreal. I don't know if you've seen their glasses. You know those glasses, Nreal?
I'd have to see. I'm really bad with names and words. I'd have to see a photo of it.
So the Oculus is virtual reality like headsets, right?
Mhm.
Nreal created this like um, augmented reality glasses. Like they're like just normal like Ray-Ban type glasses, but
Mhm.
they can overlay virtual things within your like field of view. So people are
Whoa.
using them for. Dude, yeah, you should look into them, man. They're really, really cool. Like I'm actually considering getting a pair. But the reason I bring that up is from the people I've been talking to, the metaverse is cool in that people will always want an escape. They'll
Mhm.
always want to go into another world and like live a different life, Ready Player One style.
Yeah.
But I think what's going to have mass market appeal is a blend of the two, a blend of the virtual and the real world, because that's more accessible. Most people, if they're not already gamers now, they're not going to become gamers just because there's a metaverse and there's like cool immersive tech, right? That's
Right.
just, I just don't see that being like the long term. Although the market of people that do love gaming, that do love being immersed in another world, it's so massive. And I think the metaverse that we're calling the metaverse is just going to exponentially blow that up. But how about everyone else who isn't a gamer, who doesn't want to
Yeah.
get lost in like this world? That's where I think the idea of like the AR, I think that's gonna like really change the game for people. So I know, like, for example, one of my buddies, he founded a company that works really closely with Niantic, the creators of Pokemon Go. So my buddy's company, they create all the virtual avatars for AR experiences, right? Or they create assets for AR experiences. And he was telling me there's so many companies that have been creating these types of software experiences that are just waiting for glass technology to evolve
Mm.
fast enough. We know Apple's working on a glass. I don't know what happened with Google, but they had a glass and that kind of fizzled out. But like the hardware for that is playing catch up, and when it does, man, I'm excited for a world where I can have a wearable like these glasses where I can like flip a button and I can watch Netflix, or you can actually do that with these end reels. I can flip a button and watch Netflix, or flip a button, I can like watch a tutorial on how to play guitar and just like from wherever I'm at,
Right.
or like I have a heads up display off like my text, or if I'm walking down the street, If someone's an impact theory founders key holder, like it scans them and I can see a person that's in my community or another Bored Ape or whatever. And, it's like creating these virtual experiences within the real world.
Yeah.
I personally think that is kind of where shit's going to get super exciting. Not to say the virtual worlds aren't cool, but I think AR, like the blend of the two, that's going to be the thing that really gets us moving and hitting the ground fast.
Dude, I was surprised at how many people love Pokemon Go. I never really jumped into that world, so I never really knew. And then the other day, I don't know if you saw, it was here in Seattle. It was a few months ago, I think, and there was like a Pokemon Go day or something. Bro, there were thousands of people running around with Pokemon hats. And like, I was like, what the hell is happening? I was so confused. I don't know where I was going. I was walking somewhere and I just remember passing like 35 people all playing Pokemon Go. And I was like, oh, that was weird. And then I walked like another 10 feet. And I was like, oh, another 50 people. And I was like, what the hell's going on? And like, people love this shit, dude. I thought it was silly. Like for me, I was like, there's no way, like it's on your phone. Like that's not that fun. People love it, dude. And I'm like, okay, well, if they're going to have an even more immersive experience where, the most electrifying engineers in the world are working on this shit, and like the most richest entrepreneurs are excited about this shit, I'm like, okay, you got the biggest innovators and the biggest people who can actually do the innovations all working together towards this thing. That's the silliest thing ever to not bet on that. It's just dumb. I'm like, wait, they're gonna make it happen with or without your support,
Exactly. So the question is, do you want to be in the early majority or be like in a late adopter? And with this, like you said, you just got to follow the money, man. When the people with the most money are betting on this, when the smartest people, the Gary V's, the people that we love, Gary V's, the Tom Bilyeu's, they're like literally pivoting their entire business models. And these are people that don't need money. They're just like, yo, this is the future. I'm like, so yeah, whether the naysayers, just like whether you like it or not, like technology is like a one-way street. You can't squeeze this toothpaste back in the tube. So
that's a great way to put it, actually. That's awesome. I'm gonna steal that. That's actually really, really good. Man, yeah, I could literally talk about the metaverse forever, just because that's like we're talking about the future, and like for me, like growing up, like my childhood internal reality was kind of miserable. So like I don't really look on my past with any nostalgia. I mainly just try and run away from that because I just don't want to go back there. Especially with the money thing, like that's a huge motivator for why I started the company, because I was like, I don't want to ever walk into like a grocery store again and like really look at a fucking snack and be like, man, I like actually should not buy this. I cannot be buying things like this. I hate that feeling of like the helplessness feeling of that. So that's like something huge for me. And so when I think about the future, that's what got me out of those situations where like when I was playing soccer and I sucked, I was like, man, I just want to be in the club with all these cool people. Like I got to get really good. So like, I just like worked so hard because that future that I was dreaming of was like to be in the varsity group chat and like be invited to the after party after the game kind of thing. And like, I always kind of like propped up that future as something I look forward to, as long as I can just put in the work. And with YouTube, like I enjoy putting in the work with business and working with people in Web3. I enjoy doing it too. And I get to look forward to that future where it's just even more cool than today. But a lot of my life beforehand kind of sucked, and it was just like a long journey of like self-discovery and fighting for popularity and stuff. Like, what were you doing in, I don't know how old you are, but like maybe high school, college age? Like what kind of kid were you?
That's a great question. I haven't been asked that in a while. High school, man. I don't know how much you know about my story, but I grew up in a third world country. I grew up in, I'm born and raised in this country called Zimbabwe. So it sits just on top of South Africa. So we were under like a dictatorship rule. Like it was just like, it was terrible. Like the quality of life there is really, really hard. But so growing up in a poverty stricken country, the stuff that here in America in the first world we're kind of used to, like I didn't really have that kind of childhood. Like there's stuff that I would want and I couldn't, like I remember like all I ever wanted was my parents to buy me a PlayStation, and I just never owned a PlayStation growing up. And little things like that, where just life was hard. You were just lucky to have food on your table. So I dove into like sports and academia, because where I'm from, like school is your get out of, is the thing that'll save you. It's the thing that'll get you out of the life you're living. So I had to really go hard on like books to like make sure like I got a good education so I could escape. And that's ultimately how I ended up in America. Was I came here for college. So high school, I was a typical high school kid, sports, school. I was also deep in music. So I started writing music when I was 10, like just like lyrics, started rapping. And then when I was like 14, 15, I kind of took it up a notch and started actually making beats. So in this
Nice.
program called Fruity Loops, and now it's called FL Studio. And then like at like 16, 17, I started recording music. Like I had friends come over, and I had like a makeshift studio at home, and we would
Let's
like
go.
create songs. So I have like a mixtape that's out there on the internet somewhere.
No way. Are you
So
serious? It's not there right now?
it's. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you where to find it,
Bro,
but
I'm gonna find it.
it's.
Somebody find it.
But yeah, so that was like my teens, and then when I got to college, I released more music, but then I also got into DJing. So that's another big passion of mine, is just
Mm.
like DJing. So I had like club residencies back in
Dude, that's
college. So I
so
would
cool. That is so
played
cool.
at some like, oh yeah, dude, I love DJing. That's like one of my favorite things. So I did that for most of like college, and obviously school. Trying to just graduate, and fortunately graduated, and then I had to become an adult.
Yeah.
and just actually figure out how to freaking get financial stability,
Sure.
and get wealth and all that shit. So
Damn,
yeah.
dude. Wow, that is a crazy, crazy story. Thank you for telling me that. That was so cool. I was not expecting the answer. Also, with just specifically on the DJ part, was that good money, or was it just more for fun, or?
Oh, I mean, it's not. You don't do this for the money. Like I would get paid sometimes, but it was more for. I loved that shit. Like
Yeah, it looks
I
fun.
literally, like there was a time where I legitimately thought I was put on this earth to make and share music. So like
Wow.
I don't care if like I still want to like my master plan has been to grind hard and get some wealth and get some passive income so that I can get back into music. So that I can like do
Bro.
it not because I have to, because I want to. Because that's just how much I love music. So like I have my piano over here.
Hell
I
yeah.
actually started guitar 2 weeks ago, so I'm about to like really start learning guitar now. So yeah, man.
Dude,
It
that's
wasn't for the money.
beautiful.
It was more just because it's fun.
That's beautiful. And the way you're
Yeah.
doing it's probably gonna work, bro. Like you're gonna make you've already made some incredible connections. You putting on NFT Seattle, things like that. Bro, those opportunities that come, like they're like, oh, by the way, like I do this, and like we already know each other, we've done business together. Dude, that's super cool. That is super cool. I've always wanted to do that kind of like I have a few friends who do music. One of the guys, he's half of Fallen Wad in Europe, and they do a bunch of tours and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, man, like if you're ever in Europe, they're like, we got you, just hit us up. And I was just like, man, that'd be so sick to be out there, like behind, like back or like on stage, I guess, like just seeing what the crowd is like that must be insane. Seeing everyone jumping up and down, coked out on like whatever drugs they decided to take that night, and just like you are in charge of like facilitating a great experience. Like that must be so lit.
Dude, what you just described. So like when you hear people talk about like the moment I knew I was like right where I needed to be, or I was like in my purpose or whatever. I had that moment. I've had a few of those moments, and this was like when I was still like actively DJing. I used to open for a lot of big artists. Like I used to play a lot of house music, electronic music, and stuff as well. So I would open for a lot of big nationally touring acts. And I remember I played this big show, and it was like a room full of these my peers, these college kids and stuff. But like that feeling of being on stage,
Yeah.
and you're like making music, or the tracks you're throwing on, the mixes you're putting on, like you can see people's emotion. You can see people just like having the time of their lives, and just like dancing and like laughing, and then you switch it up and you play something else, and you move their emotions, and they're just like
Yeah.
losing their shit. And like fuck, there's nothing like that feeling, man. There really
God.
isn't. But anyway, it's dope.
Dude, that is fucking yeah. That I'm just like thinking about it now. I'm like right now, like I don't even know. Like I'm like vibrating right. I'm like that'd be so sick. Like getting in that mindset. Ah, man, that is the coolest thing ever. That is the coolest thing ever. Well, listen, like while we wrap up here, I was gonna do some like rapid fire Q&A questions about life. You down?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
let's do
let's
it.
do it.
Okay, let's see. Let's see what we got here. We'll some of them are a little bit more deeper than others. Some are kind of just like interesting things. Do you have any? Okay, actually, no. I want to know this. What was the first NFT you bought? Do you remember?
Bought
Mhm.
or got?
What do you mean?
Because so the first NFT I ever had was like a free mint. So I didn't buy it, but it
Oh,
was
I
one of
see. I
those
see.
airdrop type of things, and it was
Cool.
parallels.
Yes, I actually interviewed the guys over there a few months ago.
Yeah, so I got some of those Parallels
Hell yeah.
NFTs.
How about the one
And
you first bought?
then, hold on, yo. I gotta open up my MetaMask real quick.
What do you
'Cause
remember when it was? Was it like a year ago, 2 years ago, like half a year ago?
This was probably like fall of last year, so like
Okay.
probably like August-ish or so.
Yeah.
Man, I can't remember.
Was it like an
Yeah, it's
OG project? Was it some random shit?
it was some random shit.
Oh, some random shit. Yeah, yeah. That's typically how it is.
Yeah,
Like when I first bought my NFT, I remember like I was like, this is silly. I'll just sink my money into like one of these just to see. But the second I bought it is when it clicked, and I was like, oh, I can want to own something digital for real, and it's backed by money. And now I'm like, oh, this is different, and that's what hooked me.
it might have been a Crypto Kitty or
Really?
something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Crypto Kitty fam. I got one of
Yeah,
those too.
yeah. So that was probably the first one I ever bought.
Legend. Crypto. Yeah, Crypto Kitties are cool. I've interviewed both the guys who created that. Great dudes, Arthur and who was there? Mac. Both those guys. Just it's so cool because when I interviewed them, like that was a totally different conversation because they've been here since like literally the beginning of all this stuff and like creating that first big NFT thing and like hearing their origin story of like how it felt. They're like, yeah, we were pitching this thing at like ETH 20 whatever the fuck. Like he's like, there's like nine people in the audience, none of them knew anything, and I was just like, wow, that's next level shit right there. Like to be talking about NFTs that long ago. So very cool. Well, that's really cool. That Crypto Kitty. Hell yeah, we're Crypto Kitty fans.
Yeah.
Do you have a? Actually, no. What's the most surprising? Do you have anything surprising? This will be the last NFT question. Anything surprising about the NFT space that maybe you didn't expect?
That I didn't expect. That's a good question. How hard it is to really gain traction, or how hard it is to build a solid community. So yeah, maybe the second
Mm,
part, not the traction. How hard it is to build a solid community. When I say solid community, I'm talking about people not just talking about the floor,
yeah,
people that aren't just like talking about when Moon and just criticizing founders for no reason, when
yeah,
Lambo, just like a community of good people that are actually in it, just for the right reasons. And so, for example, I joined the On-Chain Monkey community, and I got to learn a bit more about the community, and that's a strong community. Those are like
yeah, dude.
good people that are just like happy to be here. And then there's a lot of other like projects I'm a part of where like it's just toxic and chaos in the
Mhm.
Discord. So I didn't realize how difficult it would be to evangelize a group of people around a shared mission or vision or goal in the Web3 in the NFT space.
Yeah, and we saw people who are very established, respected entrepreneurs, business owners fail, like completely fuck up everything. And I was just like, wow, that's
Yes.
crazy. Like, do you have any lessons from this? Actually doesn't have to be Web3 related. Do you have any lessons that make a kind of left a mark on you from any failed business venture or something that just totally flopped, did not go the way you expected, harder than you thought, anything else like that? Or do you think would it just be like the Web3 building community that was just tough?
You mean something that I did or something that I saw from someone else?
Maybe something that you did, but if there's something else that was really impactful for you that you saw or you witnessed or observed, like something about a failed business venture.
This isn't really in the NFT space though.
That's totally fine.
If I'm like drawing upon my own
Yeah.
experience, so I have another company that I started a hedge fund, and it's a quant fund where we build algorithms and like machine learning models that trade crypto. I wouldn't call it a failed venture. It's on pause because one of the things that I've learned is depending on the type of business you're building, it will probably take a lot longer than you had anticipated.
Yeah.
Um, and just like a lot longer, probably costs a lot more money to execute on.
Yes.
And that's what happened with that business, man. I sunk so much capital into it.
Fuck.
And one thing I also learned is you need to have the right people. You need to have
Hmm.
the right team. The right team is everything. I made the mistake. I lost some of my team. Like I got some of the people like got like recruited elsewhere and got
Hmm.
offered more money. And some critical hires, left, and that kind of left big gaps in my project team, and that affected our ability to like meet our deadlines and stuff. So
Yeah.
I would say those are some of the things. Like, the people matter, like having the competent people that can help you
Dude,
as you
yeah.
drive towards a vision.
Yeah.
That's a game changer, man.
And to hold those people when you find the good people, like make sure that they are well looked after, they feel like they're being
Yeah.
heard and stuff. Like I have a couple guys who they're like my head community manager. Like it's not like I have a project, right? Like I just have a YouTube channel. Like it's not like Discord's like popping or anything. Like we're just in there, right? But when we first became friends, him and my brand just lined up really well. And I was like, look, there's no position here where I can hire. There's just nothing I need right now. But like you're so good and I want to keep you around. So just like let's remain friends. Let's talk. If there's any way I can plug you for someone else to like get you into business venture, I will. And like just to make sure those people are aware that like you are there for them and they're valuable and stuff like that. Like that's super, super important because you never know when that conversation or when that relationship could be opened up into something or a new business opportunity pops up. And dude, competent people are a dime in a dozen. There's just not that many people that are competent. I just thought there were more, honestly. That's been a big shocking thing in Web3 for me, at least.
You're like me, where like I like to think the best of people. I'm just like, yeah, people are good. People know their shit. Nah, man. It's like, you're right. They're a dime a dozen. So when you find them, man, hold on to the good ones because
facts.
It's tough out. It's slim pickings out there.
It is, dude. And I know we gotta get you out of here. I'm gonna do 5 rapid fire. These are for real rapid fire. Here we go. You ready? Favorite alcohol, if you got one.
Tequila.
Tequila? Do you got a favorite tequila or just any of them?
Casamigos.
Casamigos.
Reposado.
Nice. Right on. Do you have any tattoos?
No.
Would you get any tattoos?
I don't like needles, so probably not.
Got it. Have you traveled a lot? Or if you haven't, or if you have, like, where's your dream destinations? AKA also, like, have you traveled a lot?
I have traveled a lot. My dream destinations, Tokyo, Bali, Bora Bora.
Let's go. I can definitely vouch for Japan. I'm half Japanese, so I've been there. Tokyo is fucking just like, there's no words. You just have to, like, once you're there, you're just like, bruh, what the fuck are so many people doing here? Like, literally, you can't see the street. There's so many people. And like, you go into a department store, there's like literally 150 people in every single register. And it is crazy, but it's so beautiful, bro. Like, the city is beautiful. It's like I don't even know how to explain it. It is very cool. Like, yeah, really, really. I hope you go there one day because it's a really cool experience, Japan in general.
Oh yeah, it's top of my list.
Hell yeah, let's go. Okay. Do you have any reoccurring dreams? If it doesn't come to you, it's totally fine. I just, like, some people just have one right after it. They're like, oh yes.
I would say reoccurring in that it's not super often, but it's come up a few times. It's usually like, I mean, this might get super deep. I'm usually like flying away from something, almost like
really
people are chasing me, but I'm above and I'm like protected, but I'm just just flying away from, like, almost like dodging people or something.
So that's a reoccurring dream for you?
Yeah, somewhat reoccurring. Yeah,
that's very interesting. I have a similar one. Like, mine has been since I was a kid. It would be me running in slow motion. Like, I can't move fast enough, and my dad's like about to get eaten by a python or something. Like, the mouth is like about to eat my dad, and he's like in my childhood home, and I'm like trying to stop it, but I can't move. And I never understood what that was about. Like, I still don't, like, I've done a fair bit of like introspection, and I just can't exactly figure out that dream. I get the slow motion part. But as far as like my dad getting eaten by a python, I have no idea what the fuck that is. But yeah, whatever. I'll hire some dream expert to like explain that to me one day, because I actually really am interested, because I've always wondered the role that dreams play. Part of the reason I do the podcast is because I eventually want to take over the Web3 space in the podcast arena and eventually start to, you know, transcend the space and talk to other people at the top of their fields. And one of my most interesting things is like neuroscience and then the brain and dreams. Like, I just want to know about that stuff.
That's
so interesting.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I love the brain and understanding like how we tick, and dreams are important. I think they're very significant.
Yeah.
Also from a spiritual aspect. I mean, I'm a big faith guy, so I believe they have a spiritual component to it too. So that's why I'm like, you know, sometimes shit gets a little deep when you talk about dreams.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Well, we'll have to talk a whole episode on more like, I don't even know, maybe not NFT stuff. I think we'd have a really good conversation. Here's the final question. What's your favorite food chain? And why?
Food.
What's that flagship item that you always get?
Food chain.
Or food.
So
It doesn't have
just
to be a
quick.
food chain, but
Well, quick. I mean, if I have to pick a chain, quick disclaimer: I try not to do a lot of chains, but if there's a go-to chain for me, it's Chick-fil-A. I gotta get
hell
that
yeah,
spicy chicken sandwich. Just because
dude, it's
it's
too good.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A is so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, Chipotle. Chipotle is probably my favorite. I go there the most often. Chick-fil-A is just not that close to me, so and Chipotle is like half a mile away. I go there like every single day. How about favorite food? Like, do you have anything that you get that you just can't help? Every time you pass, you gotta grab it.
Oh man. Side note: I'm a big foodie. I used to have a food blog and all
No
that. So like,
way.
when you talk about food, I'm like, man. Honestly, like I eat a lot of. I love Indian food and I love Thai food. Um, a solid Indian food wise, I've been eating a lot of Indian curries. So there's just like curry
Bro.
called like korma, but lamb korma. So some chicken, so like some lamb biryani and some lamb korma, which is like this like darker like curry, dude, game changer.
Oh my god, I know the curry world well. My mom is like I said, she's Japanese, so she cooked a lot of Asian dishes and curry. Like I don't even know which curry it was, but dude, curry was a staple growing up. I love curry; it's one of my favorite foods. So maybe we'll grab it and we'll chop it up over some curry one day. But dude, this was a fucking great
Yeah,
conversation. I think we covered so much helpful, like valuable content. Also, just like in general, just had a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
dude, thank you so much for having me, man. This is dope, and I'm stoked to kind of watch your show kind of continue to blow up and become
Hell
Joe
yeah, man.
Rogan style.
Thank you. I'm going to do a code word for the people who made it to the end. I know there's not everyone's here on YouTube. A lot of people are on different platforms, but if you're on the YouTube stream and you're watching this live or not live, code word if you made it to the end, what should it be? Satoshi? Code word Satoshi?
Satoshi.
Yeah, spam in the chat if you made it to the
Satoshi.
very end, just so that I know that you finished the episode. I do appreciate you guys being in here. If you may, make sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom, follow us everywhere. I have his stuff down below in the description if you want to connect with him or ask him questions or whatever. I have his link tree down there, so just make sure to check him out. And yeah, guys, Lennox, thank you for being here. Guys, until next time, continue on your Joyage, continue to learn, and be grateful you're live watching this video. Bye. Graphic in 3, 2.